We'll now hear from MCubed titled Opening the Music Archive, Community, Memory, and Ethical Access, a team that involves faculty and graduate students from the School of Information and the LS&A Departments of Anthropology and Afro-American and African Studies. Let's welcome Professors David Wallace and Kelly Askew.
Thank you very much. Thank you for welcoming us today and allowing us to share our research with you. MCubed was trying to deal with a problem that is found throughout the world where you have large, under-processed collections of sound recordings. Libraries tend not to know what to do with these things, being more familiar with textual documents. So what to do with these sound recordings? There's a large number of them around the world. There's also high value of them as documentary evidence of various kinds of sound and audio events. And then there's a high interest in them, especially in unpublished music recordings from around the world. But there's also great confusion about the intellectual property rights that attend to these and wanting to make accessibility bound to ethical concerns. So one thing that Peter Hurdle at Harvard University has said is that nearly every sound recording ever made is protected in some way. But how to crack that nut, how to make these recordings available to a wider public is what we sought to try to deal with. So MCubed is able to take advantage of a series of new collections that were recently acquired here at the University of Michigan. I'll talk about those in a minute. We were also able to take advantage of the talents and synergies spanning different schools and departments that brought a variety of talents, namely interest in archiving and expertise in archiving, expertise in ethnomusicology, expertise in online musical communities, and finally, digital delivery. And then the final piece was advancements in open source software, namely Drupal, which is a content management system software, which is highly functional and customizable for the purposes to which we needed it to be put. So that's MCubed. And these are the three collections that were recently acquired here at the University of Michigan. The first one concerns recordings made at a local institution of international renown, the ARC, found on our Ann Arbor Main Street. It's a venue popular among especially folk and Americana and roots music aficionados, and has been running a collection of live recordings dating back from 1969. The second collection is of Tanzanian musical recordings spanning multiple genres. That's been drawn on the research I've been doing in Tanzania for over 25 years. And the third is the Sarkeesian collection, recently acquired at the University of Michigan Library. I should have mentioned the ARC has now deposited its collection at the Bentley Historical Library. So these collections, the ARC collection encompasses over 3,000 hours of live recordings, recordings that have never been heard again and have no mechanism for distribution. Let's listen to one by Jane Voss.
Will you miss me when I'm gone? Oh, will you miss me? Will you miss me, miss me? Will you miss me when I'm gone?
So a fabulous collection of recordings from musicians that have gone on to do great things, but that have been untapped and unaccessed. The Tanzanian collection is, again, my own collection of over 1,000 hours of recordings made mostly in small local studios, distributed purely locally and not available otherwise. A recording from the Otu Jazz Band.
Baba na mama, nipeni demokrasia ya mapenzi. Baba na mama, nipeni demokrasia ya mapenzi.
And then the final collection is perhaps the most prestigious of these all, the VOA, Voice of America collection of African sound music, spanning 1960s, immediately after independence, through to the 1990s.
Maya Now when the saints go marching in, when the saints go marching in, oh yes I won't.
Yes, that's Louis Armstrong. That was the only known recording of him performing at the Carthage Musical Festival in Tunisia. And all those recordings were done by this man, Leo Sarkeesian, who was hired by Edward Murrow to be an ambassador to help newly independent countries in Africa establish their very first ever radio stations. So more on the team by David.
Hi. Well, thanks. Kelly sort of set up what the opportunity was for us, and basically I'm going to try to lead us through how we're trying to sort of deal with this and make this music more accessible in sort of an ethical way and build social memory around it. So Kelly has expertise in East African musical traditions. Paul Conway has expertise in audiovisual digitization and digital preservation and metadata. And my expertise is around online music communities and live music archives and archival ethics. We have a great collection of students here from PhDs in history and Masters of Students Information, Doreen Kembabazi, Kimberly Springer, Brendan Coates, Helena Seifa, Madeline Sheldon, Nick Krabenhoft, and one more. So basically, what are we trying to do? We're trying to create something that we're calling a heterogeneous, Kendra Cunningham, thank you. We're trying to build a heterogeneous, multimedia, interactive, web-based delivery system. Now, that's quite a mouthful, and what does that actually mean? Some of you sort of pull that apart. Heterogeneous multimedia, basically different formats. We have audio, we have visual materials, and we have textual materials. So basically, it's generally born in analog format, and we're converting it to digital format. Interactivity, we're basically trying to think about how to build a site that is not just us building the cataloging, but also bringing in experts from outside. So basically, different people with different levels of permission to kind of add to our cataloging and knowledge base about it. Forums, basically this notion of building social memory development around this kind of content. So basically people can comment on the quality of the recording, the quality of the performance, locate themselves autobiographically within the collection itself or the actual performance that they're analyzing. And then this issue of rich web content management software, Drupal, which is an open source, freely available, extensible, maturing content management system platform that sort of meets all of our requirements around interactivity. And the key thing for us, since two of us are archivists, we have this commitment to preserve the digital source. So we're working with great partners at the University Library and the Bentley Historical Library, but we're also digitizing stuff that hasn't been digitized before. So basically, what does that mean? We're taking raw audio content and we're trying to digitize it in a manner that will ensure its persistence across time. So what does that mean, basically? Using digital preservation, best practices, and standards to ensure the longevity of the information. But we have three thorny challenges that are really hard to kind of crack, and so this is what we're grappling with right now with our team. The first one is this concept of online integration. Behind me, you see our attempt to develop a single cataloging interface to three very different heterogeneous collections. And so we have a student really working hard on that. So metadata, this kind of metadata, so to find information, to identify information, to browse information. So if you're looking at Amazon or you're looking at Netflix, when you're browsing, you're basically looking at metadata. So how do we take three heterogeneous collections and provide one common user experience? And the key thing here is online integration is community participation. So what does that mean? Basically, we're looking to bring in artists, connoisseurs, experts, ethnomusicologists, and perhaps people like you who are just interested in the music. There's an incredible zealousness that congregates around music, and we're trying to leverage that. Second challenge is this notion of ethical access, right? So the normative copyright approach is all rights reserved. Creative Commons is an alternative licensing mechanism which allows performers to select certain rights reserved. And we're trying to think creatively about how do we make music available outside of the motif where the music industry basically allows none of this music to be shared, and now we have thousands of hours in archives. We got to come up with a different way of making this accessible. And then the final challenge is this concept about community memory. How do we build, you can build something, but again, will people show up and engage it and make meaningful use of it? So part of what we're pushing out content but part of it we're looking to get people who are experts in this information, experts in the music, experts in the genres to kind of give us expertise around cataloging, as well as give us expertise in sort of understanding some of the impacts that this music can have and has had on individuals. And so that basically engages the creators, so this notion of approaching creators of this information, the copyright owners, the performers, the artists, and get them engaged. And so we have sample populations from all three collections that have made a commitment to work with us to kind of work through some of these difficult issues. And then, again, this notion of connoisseurs, enthusiasts, fans, people like you who just love this music and want to engage it, we're looking to bring you in to help build the community memory piece around it as well. How can we supplement the knowledge about the music in a rich way? And then finally, what are we looking to do with this? Clearly, we just want to increase awareness and access to these musical recordings. I think that's our main goal for all three of us. But doing that, we want to understand what are the risks and benefits of creative and alternative copyright arrangements than what you normally find out there on the web. We want to, again, engage some communities of performers, bring in the fans and enthusiasts. And critically, this collaboration has allowed us to kind of take 3 faculty members from 3 different ways of looking at the world and basically have some bidirectional and synergistic scholarship. So thank you. I think I hit the wrong button.